So one of the most common questions that I have seen asked in the curly girl community is, how can I achieve clumps? So I thought, being the helpful little bunny I am, I would just take a few minutes to talk about how best I personally achieve them. So taking it right back to basics, for those of you that don't know what a clump is, it is basically just a complete curl. Now they come in all shapes and sizes, so some people will be able to get bigger clumps, some people will be able to get smaller clumps, but I am basically just gonna give sort of the tips and tricks that I've learned over the years to help get clumps. Now you might not believe it, I'm having a bit of a crazy hair day today because I cut my hair a couple of days ago, so it's still a little bit in shock. But if I put here, this is a good clump day for me. So the tips and tricks that I'm going to share today will achieve this look, not this look. Now the first tip that I'm going to share is to make sure that your hair is soaking wet. I find if my hair is just slightly damp or it's not quite wet enough, if I'm trying to create clumps, I might be able to achieve them, but they are going to be quite fluffy, frizzy, messy clumps. So I tend to concentrate on putting those clumps in during a wash day. The best way that I've been able to achieve big clumps is by brush styling. Now it's tedious and boring, I know, but if I'm just raking through the products, the clumps aren't as even, they're not as uniform, and they're not as big as when I take the time to brush style. Now I do have a couple of videos on brush styling, so I'll drop them somewhere on this video. I have tried both the Be Hairful brush and the Denman brush, and I find the Be Hairful brush is by far the easier brush to brush style with. It's a lot more gentle than the Denman. So if you fancied sort of taking the time to brush style, not properly, but if you have more time to do a more sort of thorough method of brush styling, the best way I have found is you hold the hairbrush upside down, brush down to the end of how big you want the clump to be, then you roll the brush up towards your scalp, pinch the top of the curl just to avoid that tension on the scalp, and then gently unwind the tail of the hairbrush, and that is the best way that I have found to give really big, uniform, juicy clumps. If that particular method doesn't work for you, or you can't be bothered to do it, fair enough, I very rarely do it. Another much quicker way is to do what I think is their sort of proper name is ribbon curls. So again, you take the clump that you want, start to brush down, and then as you turn the hairbrush over, so the curl is being pulled along the back of the hairbrush. I haven't got a brush with me to demonstrate and my hair's not soaking wet. Then you sort of pull the brush down, so this is really creating the tension as it's going over the back of the hairbrush. Then I find if I just give my hair a little wiggle, that also helps form these bigger clumps. Really hope that made sense. That's really hard to explain without having a brush. If I can find sort of reels and stuff I've put on Instagram, I'll pop them up as well. Another way that I have found helps create those big clumps is the bowl method. Now I did this recently for my channel just to see what all the fuss was about, because I've seen it raved about a lot. If your hair gets very easily over moisturised, I would use this method with caution, because it really does get the moisture and hydration in your hair. So I have seen some people comment that after doing the bowl method, their hair goes a bit overly fluffy because it's a bit over moisturised. Just sort of a word of caution. But the way you do the bowl method is you style your hair upside down as normal over a bowl, then the bowl catches the drips and all sort of the runoff of the product. Then what you do is you take the bowl and you gently squish your hair into it. That, because you're adding all that extra water and product, if you sort of scrunch your hair quite a lot when you're applying your product and you're breaking up the clumps, that might be something to consider, because you've sort of styled it, and then all the water and product, the soup that I call it, that sort of brings those clumps back together. If you're not going to be doing brush styling and all that, you can actually put the clumps in your hair during washing. So there are two techniques that I think are quite similar, to be fair. You have the super soaker method. Now, as far as I understand, that is when you're washing your hair, you put the conditioner in your hair, then you take sort of handfuls of water and you just squish that into your hair. I would recommend doing that with your head the right side up, just because it's going to be sort of less awkward when you want to put your head the right way up, if that makes sense. So yeah, you're cupping in loads of water and squishing it into your hair. And the other one is squish to condish. Now, as far as I know, squish to condish is you put the conditioner in your hair, run over a little bit of water, then squish your hair, then a little bit more water, and you sort of gradually rinse out the conditioner as you're squishing in to the hair. Whereas I think the super soaker is if you don't rinse out all the conditioner. I think that makes sense. One way of putting the clumps back into your hair, if you're not going to brush style, you haven't done super soaker or squish to condish or anything like that, I found doing the praying hands methods works. So say, for example, you've raked through your curl cream or leave-in conditioner, whatever you want to use, whatever the first step of your styling process is, raked it all through. That's obviously going to break up the clumps. What I found works is doing the praying hands method to apply the next step. So for me, it would be mousse. If I apply mousse with praying hands, I find that weirdly helps put my hair back into sort of its natural clumps. So if I've done a lazy wash day routine, like this is, to be fair, I don't think I brush styled this, I can't remember, it was only a couple of days ago. Anyway, if I'm doing my lazy wash day routine, which is most of the time, to be fair, once I've raked through my curl cream, leave-in conditioner, whatever I feel like using, I will have applied the mousse with the praying hands, and that's what forms my natural clumps. Now, I am sure there are other ways of achieving clumps. Obviously, things like making sure your hair is balanced, so you've used the right sort of ratio of protein to moisture, making sure that it's not weighed down with products. So if you're strictly following the curly girl method, making sure that you're co-washing your scalp thoroughly, scrubbing it for 5 minutes. If you're not strictly following the curly girl method, you want to do like a clarifying rinse or a shampoo or something. Just basically making sure that you've got the right sort of foundations will make a big difference if you are wanting to achieve clumps like this big juicy clump day. So I think that's everything. Like I said, I'm sure there are millions of other ways of achieving clumps, but those are the easiest ones that I have seen. So thank you for watching if you've made it this far. Let me know down in the comments if I've forgotten anything and what your sort of favourite way of making clumps is. As always, don't forget to hit like, subscribe and share, and I will see you soon. Bye bye! This is a clump. Oh! I'm just going to take my hair off, it's falling out. What shape or size the washing... Oh, brain just went blank there. I'm just paranoid that I'm not all in. Oh well. Delivery guy's staring outside.